It was an ordinary morning in that sun-dappled kitchen, the kind where everyday rituals hide the storms brewing just out of sight. Our protagonist, let's call her Anna for the sake of this tale, though her real name echoes through the legal documents we'll uncover later, was fussing over a ribbon on a carefully wrapped gift, tucked discreetly behind the coffee maker. The air carried the faint sweetness of sliced strawberries from breakfast, and the champagne chilled in the fridge whispered promises of celebration. Today marked their anniversary, a day etched in her heart with memories of laughter and ocean breezes. But fate, that capricious director of our lives, had other scenes in store. The phone buzzed insistently, an unknown number flashing on the screen. Anna hesitated, her finger hovering over the decline button. Voicemail could handle the intrusion. Yet something, perhaps an unspoken intuition honed from years of subtle marital shifts, made her swipe to answer. Hello? Her voice was light, expectant, still wrapped in the glow of anticipation. On the other end, a man's voice cut through, precise, measured, but laced with an exhaustion that hinted at long nights poring over files in dimly lit offices. Is this Anna Marie Thompson? He pronounced her full name with deliberate care, each syllable a step on thin ice. My name is Daniel Brooks. I represent your husband, Ethan Thompson. I need to confirm an address for service of divorce papers. The word divorce exploded like a thunderclap in the quiet kitchen, shattering the fragile illusion of her perfect day. It bounced off the chilled bottle of champagne, the glowing reservation reminder on her phone screen for that intimate dinner downtown, and the handwritten card propped nearby that read, "To us, always." The room spun for a moment, the polished countertops and gleaming appliances mocking her with their unchanged normalcy. I'm sorry? Anna managed a laugh, but it emerged brittle and hollow, like fragile glass cracking under pressure. Today is our anniversary. You must have the wrong number, the wrong person entirely. I wish I did, Daniel replied softly, his tone carrying a weight of genuine regret. Behind his words, the subtle sounds of his world intruded, the rustle of legal papers being shuffled, the rhythmic click of a keyboard as he verified details, and the distant hum of an office printer churning out documents that could unravel lives. It's more complicated than it seems. Far more layered, with threads pulling from unexpected directions. Is this some kind of sick joke? Anna's grip tightened on the counter, her knuckles turning white as if anchoring her to reality. Outside the window, a neighbor's dog barked sharply, almost prophetically, as if sensing the seismic shift in her world before she fully did. No joke, Daniel assured her, his voice dipping a half octave, conveying a depth of sincerity that pierced through the phone line. Can you confirm your mailing address for me? She recited it mechanically, her brain detaching in a surreal haze, floating above her like a silent observer watching the scene unfold. He repeated it back with the crisp clarity of a courtroom recitation, then paused, a hesitation pregnant with unspoken warnings. Mrs. Thompson, do you prefer Mrs.? I don't know what I prefer right now, she shot back, her eyes fixating on the framed photo on the wall, Ethan's arms slung protectively around her shoulders, the vast ocean stretching behind them under a blinding sun, their squinting smiles frozen in eternal bliss. I prefer this not happening at all. I understand, he said, and the empathy in his voice made her believe he truly did, perhaps from his own scars, battles fought in the trenches of broken unions and hidden betrayals. Then, in a quieter tone that slipped out like a secret escaping a vault, he added, if you're willing to meet, there are things I can explain in person that I can't over the phone. Details that paint a fuller picture, ones that might change how you see everything. Why can't you tell me now? Anna demanded, her voice threading with a high-pitched panic, like a wire stretched taut and ready to snap. Because I am bound by rules, he explained carefully, his words chosen as if navigating a minefield of ethical landmines. Client confidentiality, professional oaths, these aren't just words, they're barriers. And because I don't want you blindsided more than you already are. The pause that followed rang louder than any festive toast, echoing with the gravity of revelations yet to come. Where, she asked, the word surprising even her, as if her survival instinct had taken the wheel. My office, he replied promptly, rattling off an address in the heart of the city's legal district and a time slot, 3 p.m. I'll clear my schedule. I'll make myself available, no matter what. So am I being served today? Anna swallowed hard, her mouth dry as parchment. Am I supposed to sign something right now? Not today, he reassured her. I'm not sending anyone to your door with papers. I'd rather we talk first, face to face. In the background, the printer whirred to life again, and a door clicked shut somewhere in his office, sealing off interruptions. And one more thing, check your mail personally for the next few days. Don't let anyone else intercept it. Not Ethan, not family, no one. What does that even mean? She whispered, her mind racing through possibilities, threats, hidden letters, more bombshells disguised as envelopes. Another heavy pause. Just, be careful. Trust your instincts. I'll see you at 3. The call ended with a click that echoed like a door slamming on her old life. The kitchen snapped back into focus, its ordinary props now feeling like cruel stage sets, the knife still slick from slicing those breakfast strawberries, Ethan's favorite coffee mug with its familiar chip on the rim from that clumsy morning years ago, and a small pile of confetti hearts she'd bought on a whim, imagining them scattered romantically across the table for their anniversary dinner. She pressed her forehead against the cool cabinet door, a laugh bubbling up, maniacal, on the edge of hysteria, before she clamped her hand over her mouth to stifle the sob threatening to follow. Just 10 minutes earlier, she'd been debating which shoes would be perfect for dancing after dinner, those strappy heels that made her feel invincible, or the comfortable flats for a night of unhurried romance. Now, she was fielding questions from a stranger about delivering the death knell to her marriage. The contrast was dizzying, a cruel twist in the narrative of her life. Her fingers trembled as she opened their text thread. Ethan's last message stared back, running a bit late tonight. Love you. Sent the day before, innocuous then, suspicious now. She typed furiously, erased, retyped, call me. Urgent. Please. The send button felt like a lifeline, but the bubble remained gray, unresponsive. She dialed his number, heart pounding. Voicemail greeted her with his polished business voice, the one he used for clients and deals. She hung up before the beep, then redialed immediately, as if sheer repetition could summon him back into her reality. For a fleeting moment, she considered calling her best friend, Samantha, the one who'd been her rock through college heartbreaks and career upheavals. But voicing this nightmare aloud felt like leaping from a second-story window, theoretically possible, but why invite the pain? Instead, she splashed cold water on her face at the sink, watching droplets cascade off her nose into the basin, willing the chill to douse the fire raging inside her. Her wedding ring suddenly felt constricting, like a noose tightening. She twisted it absently, then stopped, refusing to concede even that small gesture. Moving on autopilot, she swept the confetti back into its bag, as if tidying away the remnants of her shattered day. The champagne was banished to the fridge's depths, hidden behind a container of leftover soup from a happier meal. The anniversary card vanished into a drawer, its sentiment now a mocking echo. She swapped her celebratory outfit for jeans and a simple sweater that hid any signs of distress, tied her hair into a practical ponytail, and opted for flats, practical armor for an uncertain battle. She jotted Daniel's office address on a yellow sticky note, though she couldn't recall writing it, and affixed it to her phone like a talisman. The phone buzzed again, another unknown number. Her heart lurched, sprinting toward hope or dread. It was Daniel, confirming, 3 o'clock still good? Yes, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. And, this is important, bring in ID. Driver's license, passport, something official. For what? She pressed, suspicion creeping in. In case we need it, he said evasively, which was no answer at all but hinted at layers of verification and protection yet to be revealed. We'll talk soon. The line went dead, leaving the house in a silence so profound she could hear the refrigerator's hum and the insistent thrum of her own pulse in her ears. She snatched her keys, paused in the doorway, and cast one last glance at the table set for 2. Sunlight filtered through the blinds in precise stripes across the empty plates, illuminating the vacant spot where she'd envisioned a bouquet of roses blooming. It was absurd to feel jealous of a phantom future, one that existed only in her hopeful imagination, but the ache was real, petty, raw, and unrelenting. She locked the door behind her, carrying that sorrow to the car, and turned the ignition with a resolve that surprised her. As she pulled away from the curb, the route to Daniel's office materialized in her mind like a well-worn map, though she'd never driven it before. The city blurred past in a mosaic of brick facades and reflective glass towers, her thoughts rearranging like puzzle pieces finally clicking into reluctant alignment. The past few months resurfaced as subtle fractures she'd willfully ignored, hairline cracks in the foundation of their marriage, painted over with excuses and denial. By the time the first red light halted her, she was ready to examine them closely, peeling back the layers to reveal the truths hidden beneath. The drive dragged on eternally, though the navigation app insisted it was only 23 minutes. Each red light expanded into an agonizing eternity, her hands fidgeting on the steering wheel, palms slick with sweat no matter how often she wiped them on her jeans. The car carried a faint trace of Ethan's cologne, the one he habitually spritzed on the passenger seat when borrowing her vehicle, a lingering reminder that now twisted her stomach into knots, evoking not comfort but betrayal. She replayed the preceding months like a detective sifting through evidence, searching for the elusive clue that had eluded her. Those late nights when Ethan stumbled home, shirt untucked, mumbling about unrelenting deadlines at work. The sudden habit of showering immediately upon arrival, as if rinsing away invisible stains before embracing her. And the passwords, abruptly changed without consultation. "It's just safer," he dismissed with a peck on her cheek, not her lips, his eyes averting hers. She'd attributed it to stress from his high-pressure job in finance, the looming recession whispers in the news, anything but the poison of infidelity or deceit. At a stop sign, she whispered to herself, "God, how blind have I been?" Her reflection in the rearview mirror stared back, a stranger with pallid skin, wide eyes brimming with unspoken accusations, and a jaw clenched in determination. Digging into her purse, she pulled out her phone, thumb hesitating before tapping the recorder app. The red dot pulsed to life, capturing her resolve. "If he's lying," she murmured into the device, her voice echoing strangely in the confined space, "if this is bigger than I think, I want proof." Every word, every slip. The act felt like forging an unbreakable pact with her future self, one that couldn't be undone. The cityscape scrolled by in vignettes of everyday existence, a harried woman juggling 2 steaming coffees and a bulging laptop bag, a man gesticulating wildly into a Bluetooth headset, children lugging backpacks that dwarfed their small frames. These ordinary lives, woven with predictable routines, contrasted sharply with her unraveling world, where she rehearsed scenarios of betrayal while plotting candlelit dinners. Memories sharpened like blades. That evening last month when she'd reached for his phone to check the time during dinner, and he'd snatched it back with startling speed, causing her fork to clatter to the plate. He'd laughed it off, sensitive emails, babe, nothing personal, but his cheeks had flushed crimson, a tell she now recognized. Or the weekend he claimed an office lockdown for work, yet his gym bag returned crammed with clothes that carried no scent of sweat, only faint perfume notes she couldn't place. Back then, trust had been her choice, a deliberate blindness. Now, each detail resurfaced like shards of glass embedded in soft carpet, pricking at her awareness. The recorder app continued its vigilant blink on the seat beside her. She envisioned replaying it later, dissecting tones and inflections missed in the heat of the moment. A sliver of her felt foolish, paranoid even, but a emerging, steelier part countered, "No, this is survival. If the truth proves uglier than feared, at least no one can gaslight me into questioning my sanity." As she veered onto the street housing Daniel's office, her chest hollowed out, as if a vital piece had been excised without her notice. The brick buildings towered like silent sentinels, bearing witness to her turmoil. She parked, switched off the engine, and rested her forehead on the steering wheel, attempting measured breaths that her rebellious lungs defied. At last, she straightened, shouldered her purse, and checked the time. 10 minutes early, time enough to flee or forge ahead. She chose the latter, because retreat meant embracing ignorance, and she craved truth, no matter the cost. God help her, she needed it. With the recorder discreetly active in her bag, she stepped onto the sidewalk, mentally rehearsing the barrage of questions clawing at her since that fateful call. What has Ethan truly done? Why choose our anniversary for this bombshell? And why did Daniel's voice carry the undertone of even graver secrets lurking within? Daniel's office nestled in an aged brick edifice, its polished brass handles gleaming with an air of untouched antiquity, as if shielding secrets from the chaos of real life. The lobby exuded a subtle aroma of brewed coffee mingled with printer ink, a scent synonymous with bureaucratic dealings and concealed truths. Anna's shoes echoed sharply on the tile floor, each click amplifying her vulnerability, broadcasting her unpreparedness to the empty space. Mrs. Thompson? The receptionist, with her impeccably neat hair and professional poise, glanced up, her uncertainty evident in how she trailed off the address. Yes, Anna replied swiftly, before doubt could seal her throat. I'm here to see Mr. Brooks. After a brief interlude, Daniel materialized in the doorway. He defied her mental image, not the grizzled veteran she'd envisioned, but a man in his late 30s, with deep shadows under his eyes from sleepless vigils and a rumpled suit that spoke of relentless dedication. He offered a handshake without the obligatory lawyer's grin, his expression veering toward genuine compassion rather than pity. Thank you for coming. I know this isn't easy. His office was a cramped sanctuary, walls lined with leather-bound tomes that appeared more decorative than consulted, gathering dust like forgotten lore. A teetering stack of folders dominated his desk, one prominently labeled with her name, a sight that sent her stomach plummeting. She sank into the chair, clutching her purse to her chest like a makeshift barrier against the revelations to come. He cleared his throat, breaking the tension. The request for divorce came through last week. The filing details are unusual, to say the least. Your husband submitted them via a secured email server, not his work account, not his personal one. Something encrypted, masked through layers of digital anonymity, perhaps even routed through foreign servers to obscure the origin. He tapped the folder lightly but refrained from opening it, as if the contents were volatile. And the signature attached, he paused, meeting her gaze with a plea for comprehension. It doesn't look like his. Not at all. What do you mean? Anna's voice cracked, betraying her turmoil. The slant of the letters, the way they connect, it's off. Mimicked closely enough for a casual glance, but not for someone like me who's seen hundreds of these. It's as if it was forged in haste, perhaps by someone unfamiliar with his handwriting nuances. His eyes implored her to grasp the implications, a silent urging to connect the dots. She gripped the armrest, knuckles whitening. So, are you saying this isn't real? That maybe he didn't want this at all? The desperate hope in her query embarrassed her, yet it spilled out unfiltered. I'm saying something about it doesn't add up, Daniel responded evenly. I can't breach client confidentiality outright, but, he exhaled sharply, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Off the record? Check your joint accounts. Scrutinize transactions, transfers, any anomalies you don't recognize. If there's one inconsistency, it could unravel a web of more. And look into any recent communications, texts, emails, that seem out of character. Patterns emerge when you dig. She stared at him, stunned by the momentary slip of his professional facade, revealing a man driven by justice rather than billable hours. Why are you telling me this? Aren't you supposed to be on his side, advocating for Ethan? I'm supposed to uphold the law, he said quietly, his conviction underscoring each word. And I don't like it when something smells like fraud. I've seen too many cases where families get torn apart not by choice, but by schemes born of desperation. This has that stench, hidden motives, perhaps involving others close to him. For a suspended moment, silence enveloped them, broken only by the incessant hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Her pulse thundered, audible in her ears like a war drum. 1,000 questions surged. Who sent that encrypted email? Why orchestrate this now? What had Ethan confided to Daniel, but his guarded demeanor signaled no further disclosures. Thank you, she whispered, the words inadequate for the lifeline he'd extended. He nodded curtly. Be cautious. And, don't sign anything until you're certain whose hand wrote it. Forgeries leave traces, ink inconsistencies, pressure variations. Demand originals if possible. She rose on unsteady knees, the recorder in her purse humming faintly, capturing every nuance like a silent ally. Outside, the afternoon sun blazed too brightly, the bustling street jarringly ordinary. She hugged her bag closer, the weight of newfound suspicions pressing down. If Daniel was right, this transcended a mere marital dissolution, it veered into darker territories of deception infiltrating her life uninvited. And if he was wrong, then Ethan genuinely sought an exit. Either path led to revelations, but now she walked armed with doubt, ready to unearth what lay behind the locked doors of their shared existence. Instead of returning home to wallow in the ruins of her anniversary setup, Anna drove straight to Samantha's apartment, a cozy haven in a bustling neighborhood where the sounds of city life filtered through open windows. Samantha answered the door barefoot, clad in comfortable leggings and an oversized hoodie that made her appear eternally youthful, her hair knotted messily atop her head. One glance at Anna's ashen face, and Samantha bypassed questions, drawing her inside with a gentle tug and pressing a steaming mug of chamomile tea into her hands, Samantha's go-to remedy for crises, infused with honey and a dash of empathy. Between ragged breaths and stifled tears, Anna unraveled the tale: Daniel's cryptic call, the masked email origins, the mismatched signature that screamed forgery. Samantha's face morphed from wide-eyed shock to simmering fury in an instant, her protective instincts igniting. So he's either lying through his teeth, or someone's hijacking his identity for this. Either scenario is explosive. Have you dived into the accounts yet? The word accounts resonated like a tolling bell in Anna's chest, stirring a dread she'd suppressed. She unearthed her laptop from her bag, fingers fumbling as she logged into their joint banking portal. Her hands quivered so violently that Samantha gently took over, her keystrokes efficient and purposeful. She navigated the transaction history, the cursor darting like a hawk spotting prey. Then, she halted abruptly. Here. Look at this. A glaring entry, a $40,000 transfer to Bayline Holdings LLC. Anna blinked, leaning in as if proximity could dispel the illusion. What the hell is Bayline Holdings, she whispered, her modest salary paling in comparison to such a sum. Ethan had never breathed a word of investments on this scale, let alone one shrouded in mystery. Samantha was already pivoting to her phone, fingers flying across the screen in a rapid search. It's an LLC registered just 3 months ago. Tied to, hold on. She rotated the device toward Anna. Real estate ventures. Some upscale development project in the suburbs, promising quick flips for high returns. But the name on the paperwork, Chloe Grant. And look, another associated party, Trent Parker. Ethan's brother. Chloe. The name sliced through Anna like a rusted knife, unfamiliar yet ominous. Trent, however, Ethan's perennial troublemaker sibling, the one perpetually chasing surefire schemes, borrowing money with promises of repayment that never materialized, leaving them to foot the bills time and again. His history was a litany of failed ventures, a short-lived food truck business that went bankrupt after health violations, a cryptocurrency investment that evaporated in a market crash, and endless loans from family that strained every gathering. Anna pressed a hand to her mouth, muffling a gasp. So he siphoned 40,000, our hard-earned savings, to Trent? And to this Chloe woman I've never even met. Her voice escalated, laced with betrayal, until Samantha's steadying hand on her arm anchored her. Not siphoned outright, transferred strategically. This reeks of concealment, maybe even money laundering disguised as legit business. Samantha's eyes narrowed, piecing together the puzzle. Chloe's profile online, she's not just a realtor, she's got ties to shady investment circles, whispers of past deals that skirted legality. Could be she's the facilitator, the one making the paper trail vanish. The fragments coalesced into a terrifying mosaic, not merely an affair, though that specter loomed, but a sprawling scheme laced with financial desperation. Anna recalled fleeting mentions of Trent's escalating debts, vague allusions to bad investments and people he owed, but Ethan had always downplayed them, shielding her from the details. Now, it emerged that those debts stemmed from underground gambling rings, high-stakes poker games with unsavory lenders who didn't accept excuses. Do you think Chloe's involved with him? Anna couldn't utter mistress, the word scorching her tongue like acid. Samantha met her gaze unflinchingly. She could be a romantic entanglement, adding fuel to the fire. Or purely business, a cutthroat partner in whatever grift they're running. But your name's on those accounts too. If this implodes, tax audits, legal fallout, it drags you under with them. And that encrypted email Daniel mentioned? It ties back, perhaps Trent or even your mother-in-law, Linda, pulling strings to isolate you. The room's atmosphere thickened, compressing Anna's chest until she rose abruptly, pacing the worn rug before the couch. She raked her hands through her hair, yanking at the roots as if to extract clarity. I need to know the full extent of what he's entangled in. I can't just sit idle, waiting for the avalanche. Samantha's composure held firm, her eyes gleaming with strategic fire. Then shadow him. Trail his movements, catch him red-handed. You deserve unvarnished truth, even if it shatters you. I've got your back, binoculars, a burner phone if needed. We'll turn the tables. Anna halted, locking eyes with her friend. Samantha was right, the agony of uncertainty eclipsed even betrayal's sting. Somewhere in this labyrinthine city, Ethan maneuvered vast sums into shadowy realms alongside his brother and this enigmatic Chloe. Ignorance would suffocate her, action was her lifeline. She seized her keys once more, adrenaline surging like a revitalizing current. Okay, she declared, voice resolute. Then tomorrow, I shadow him. I uncover where he vanishes to, who he meets. No more blind trust. The following evening, Anna clocked out early from her marketing job, her mind a whirlwind of strategy rather than spreadsheets. She positioned her car a discreet block from Ethan's sleek office tower, heart thundering as if she were the perpetrator in a heist film. Samantha's parting words reverberated, catch him in the act. Document everything, photos, times, faces. Slouched low in the driver's seat, she surveyed the glass entrance like a vigilant predator, phone poised with the camera app primed, battery robust at 92%. At 6:47 p.m., Ethan materialized, suit jacket draped over his arm, stride hurried as if evading pursuit. He bypassed casual glances or texts, beelining for his car with single-minded focus. Anna waited until he merged into traffic, then tailed him at a safe distance, two vehicles buffering her, pulse sinking with each flicker of his turn signal. He veered away from their suburban home, navigating toward the city's fringes where neon-lit chain motels huddled beside dingy gas stations and greasy diners. Her throat parched as he maneuvered into a cramped lot flanking a dilapidated brick structure, its flickering sign proclaiming sunrise in faded glory. Her stomach plummeted, an affair seemed inevitable, the cliché motel rendezvous confirming her worst fears. She parked across the street, camouflaged near the motel's attached coffee shop with its expansive window offering a voyeur's view. Through the glass, Ethan claimed a booth, sliding in opposite a woman Anna instantly pegged from Samantha's online sleuthing, Chloe Grant. Blonde locks framed a face of calculated sharpness, her tailored suit clashing with the venue's shabbiness, movements crisp and anticipatory, as if perpetually ahead in an invisible game. They huddled close, voices muted by distance. Anna inched her car nearer, zooming her camera to capture snapshots, Ethan's fist balled around a thick folder, Chloe's finger stabbing the air emphatically. He scrubbed his forehead raw, desperation etched in the gesture. She thrust a document across the scarred table. He shook his head vehemently, nearly appending his coffee mug in a flurry of agitation. Straining to decipher lip movements through the distorting pain, Anna gleaned fragments, words like debt, enforcers, one more transfer, but the full dialogue eluded her. Yet the tension was palpable, no lover's tryst, this, it radiated raw desperation, the air thick with high-stakes bargaining. Then, Ethan's gaze lifted, and locked onto hers through the window. Ice flooded her veins. He muttered hastily to Chloe, then darted out a side exit. Moments later, he wrenched open her passenger door and slid in, jaw rigid, eyes ablaze with fury and fear. "What the hell are you doing here?" he snarled, voice a venomous hiss. She brandished her phone like a shield. What are you doing here? With her? In this dive? His nostrils flared, breath ragged. It's work. Work, do you understand me? Nothing more. Work in a seedy motel? Work that drains 40,000 from our accounts? Don't insult my intelligence, Ethan. He slammed a palm against the dashboard, eliciting a flinch from her. His voice plummeted to a guttural whisper, you don't understand. Not yet. And if you keep digging, you're going to ruin everything, not just for me, but for all of us. There are people involved who don't play nice. She scrutinized him, the man she'd vowed eternity to, now a sweating, ensnared stranger, fury masking terror. Silence descended, oppressive, threatening to fracture the glass around them. At last, he muttered, go home. I'll explain. Later. When it's safe. He flung the door open and stalked back to Chloe, shoulders hunched, without a backward glance. Anna remained petrified, hands quivering on the wheel, incriminating photos illuminating her screen like courtroom exhibits. Whatever work signified to him, it heralded their demise in her eyes. Returning home, she vowed no more evasions, he'd face her reckoning tonight. She refused to defer confrontation. The instant Ethan's key turned in the lock, Anna positioned herself in the living room, arms barricaded across her chest, heart drowning out the mundane clink of keys on the counter. He halted mid-step, tie askew, hair disheveled, features taut with exhaustion. Who is she? Her tone sliced like a honed blade, unwavering despite her quaking limbs. Don't dare recycle that work excuse. He raked a hand over his face, eyes shuddering as if absorbing an impact. It is work, but not the kind you imagine. It's tangled, messy, rooted in family obligations I couldn't escape. He collapsed onto the couch, elbows braced on knees, lifting his gaze to hers. It's Trent. He's in deep trouble again. Worse than ever before. She emitted a harsh, alien laugh. So you launder money? Forge signatures? Rendezvous in motels with realtors? It's not like that. His voice fractured, hands clawing through his hair. Trent's debts are crippling, serious players, loan sharks from his gambling escapades. They don't forgive, they collect with interest, threats, violence. Mom begged me to intervene, tears streaming, invoking our childhood bonds. Chloe, she's a realtor on the surface, but her connections run deeper, to underground networks that facilitate clean investments. The scheme was to channel funds through Bayline Holdings, pour into property flips, generate quick cash to settle the debts, safeguard everyone. Routing it under my name alone could implicate you if it backfired. Hence the papers, the divorce. A firewall to shield you. Anna gaped, nausea surging. A shield? You plan to divorce me unilaterally as protection? Without a whisper of consultation? His voice shattered further. I didn't want you tainted by this filth. If it imploded, creditors hounding, legal repercussions, they couldn't touch you. It wasn't about abandoning you, it was preserving you. Yet the motel vignette looped in her mind, Chloe's intimate lean, Ethan's perspiring brow, their clipped, clandestine exchanges. Her gut nodded. You robbed me of agency. You and your family scripted my fate as if I were a footnote in your ledger. Ethan extended a hand, but she recoiled sharply, his face contorting in pain. I loathe this scheme, he confessed in a whisper. Trent's endless messes, Mom's manipulative guilt, it's suffocating. Nothing's been filed yet, I've been delaying, scavenging for alternatives. I even considered borrowing from my 401k, but it wasn't enough. Do you hear your absurdity? She cinched her arms tighter, containing the inferno within. You forged my future on loopholes. Love isn't transactional paperwork you manipulate at will. He buried his head in his hands, shoulders convulsing. I thought I was protecting you, from the violence Trent courted, from the shadows encroaching. She stood resolute, the silence amplifying like a thunderous roar. In that crystalline moment, she discerned, love veiled in secrecy wasn't safeguard, it was incarceration. If he presumed she'd remain confined, he underestimated her profoundly. Yet beneath the rage, a sinister dread flickered. If desperation drove them to fabricate a divorce, what other forgeries might they attempt in her name? The creditors Trent owed weren't mere bankers, they were rumored enforcers with ties to organized crime, known for intimidation tactics that extended to families. The thought chilled her. Had Ethan's protection inadvertently painted a target on her back? The ensuing morning found Anna at the kitchen table, cradling a mug of coffee gone cold, unable to summon the will to sip it. Her phone rang, an unknown number piercing the quiet. Briefly, she entertained it might be Ethan from work, peddling fresh justifications. But Daniel's voice emerged, terse and imperative. "I need you to listen carefully," he launched without preliminaries. "A new filing just hit my desk. An attempted power of attorney in your name, granting Ethan, or an imposter, sweeping authority over your assets, bank accounts, property deeds, even investment portfolios." Her stomach somersaulted. "What? That can't be legal, it's outright theft." "It isn't legal," he affirmed darkly. "That's precisely why it's alarming. The documents were expedited, riddled with errors, your surname misspelled thrice, dates inconsistent. Sloppy craftsmanship, but the intent is clear, premeditated fraud." She pressed a palm to her forehead, steadying the swirling room. "So this transcends a sham divorce. Someone's systematically erasing my control, pushing me to the margins." "Yes," Daniel concurred somberly. "If approved, they could have siphoned funds, reassigned titles without your input. This isn't impulsive panic, it's calculated predation." He paused, weighing his revelations. "I suspect your husband isn't fully complicit, perhaps manipulated. But his brother? Your mother-in-law? Don't underestimate their desperation. Linda's involvement runs deep, records show her as a co-signer on some Bayline documents, perhaps coerced by maternal loyalty but no less culpable." The indictment stung, aligning with Anna's suspicions. She recalled Linda's imploring gazes at family dinners, hands clasped in supplication as she urged, "Just help Trent this once more." Anna had perceived it as overprotectiveness, now it revealed as enmeshment in criminality. Linda's backstory added layers. Widowed young, she'd poured her life into her sons, enabling Trent's vices while guilting Ethan into cleanup. "Jesus," Anna breathed. "They truly believe they can obliterate me from the equation." Daniel's timbre softened, almost paternal. "I'm compiling a dossier, timestamps, IP traces from that encrypted server, handwriting analyses. But vigilance is key. Shun any signatures, verbal assents, even offhand agreements. Fraud thrives on terror, they're banking on your paralysis." Gazing at her wavering reflection in the dark coffee, fear honed rather than dulled her. It wasn't eradicated, keener now, but underpinned by unyielding resolve. "Then they've targeted the wrong adversary," she stated quietly, steel threading her words. Daniel exhaled, relief evident. "Good. Stay connected. If they summon a meeting, loop me in first." "Understood?" "Understood." Setting the phone down deliberately, as if handling fragile evidence, Anna pondered Ethan's defeated posture, his quavering assertions of protection. Perhaps sincere in his warped view, but the scheme ballooned beyond him, deliberate larceny cloaked in familial bonds. Fear lingered in her core, yet it no longer immobilized, it sharpened her focus. If they sought to wield her name as a pawn, they'd soon discover her ferocity when proactive, not reactive, primed to retaliate. Sleep evaded Anna that night, her gaze fixed on the ceiling's shadows, each one morphing into phantoms of deceit. Ethan slumbered beside her, breaths even, as if unburdened by his deception's weight. By dawn's first light, resolve crystallized, she'd invert their plot, weaponizing it against them. Daniel absorbed her plan in contemplative silence. Upon conclusion, he nodded deliberately, as if their minds had synced. "Feigning consent to the divorce will spur haste. Fraud exposes itself under duress, rushed moves breed errors. So I profess agreement," Anna outlined, voice constricted. "No resistance, no probes. Just, blind trust." The term soured on her lips. They orchestrated it meticulously, akin to a scripted drama. Anna phoned Ethan during his lunch break, modulating her tone to feign softness. "If you deem this optimal, I'll comply. Let's expedite it, neatly." His end held a protracted silence, suspicion perhaps flickering, then a relieved sigh. "Thank you." You can't fathom the relief. He pledged to convene at a notary's office to seal matters. She insisted on Linda and Trent's attendance, for transparency, she claimed. He acquiesced eagerly, too grateful to interrogate. In the shadows, Daniel collaborated with a trusted banker, Ben Carter, a veteran with a knack for digital forensics. Ben would surveil accounts, halting transfers instantaneously upon detection. Anna's role, embody compliance flawlessly. The rehearsal proved arduous, her hands unsteady at the kitchen counter as she practiced lines, palms flattened on granite for stability. Samantha demanded proximity. "I'll loiter outside in my car," she asserted, as reinforcement. "You're not venturing solo into that viper pit." Meeting day arrived, Anna attired purposefully, subdued slacks, unadorned blouse, hair restrained. Minimal makeup concealed fatigue's marks. She aimed to project weariness, submission, defeat, a facade of capitulation. Internally, adrenaline crackled like electricity. Visions of their presumptuous smirks fueled her fortitude. En route with Samantha driving, Anna's grip crimped the folder in her lap. Samantha glanced over, voice a steadfast beacon. "This isn't their triumph. It's your ambush. Adhere to the script." Anna nodded, throat constricted. Beyond the window, the city pulsed ordinarily, couples ambling, trucks disgorging cargo, kids zipping on scooters. None suspected that imminently she'd confront her husband, brother-in-law, and mother-in-law, simulating surrender while clutching the incendiary that could incinerate their conspiracy. Her palms dampened as they arrived. Samantha gripped her arm. "You've got this." Anna mustered a tremulous smile, alighted, heart drumming a martial cadence. If enacted precisely, today their deceptions would ensnare them, not her. The notary suite perched on the second floor of a glassy edifice, sterile and impersonal, yet entering felt like curtain rise on a high-drama play. The air bore hints of toner and stale coffee, her pulse outpacing the light's buzz. At the table, Ethan perched rigidly, evading her gaze. Linda clutched her purse desperately. Trent sauntered in, exuding arrogance, folder tucked underarm, smirk proclaiming premature victory. He thudded the folder down. Final draft. Pristine. Signatures pending. He proffered a flash drive to the notary, grinning. Digital backups included. Anna perused faintly. The document screamed amateurism, typos abound, her name butchered repeatedly. But the forged signatures, her own, chilled her, replicated with chilling accuracy via traced scans from old checks. She tapped one. Curious. "I don't recall authorizing this." Trent's smirk wavered. "Standard placeholders until." "Placeholders?" Anna interjected serenely, volume calibrated to resonate. "This resembles forgery." "And forgery's a felony, correct?" Ethan squirmed, pallor deepening. "Stop," he snapped at Trent. "What is this abomination?" Hands shaking, he repelled the folder. Linda interposed shakily, "It's for the family, Ethan, please, think of the threats," the collector circling Trent. Anna leaned in, overtly activating her phone's recorder. "Ethan, comprehend what they perpetrated with my name? Our finances?" His panicked eyes sufficed as confession. Jaw set, he whirled on Trent. "You ensnared Mom too? Endangered her as well? Those lenders, they've already sent warnings, haven't they? Broken windows at her house last month?" Before Trent retorted, Anna's phone vibrated. Ben's message, attempted withdrawal flagged. $25,000 to offshore account. Assets frozen. She displayed it prominently. Linda blanched. The notary coughed awkwardly. The door swung open, Officer Megan Price entered, badge gleaming, aura slicing the tension. "Documents and drive, please." Trent's visage contorted. You orchestrated this? He snarled at Anna. No, she countered calmly. You self-sabotaged. I merely ceased feigning ignorance. Megan bagged the evidence. Ethan cradled his face, murmuring apologies. Linda whispered invocations. Trent's expletives jolted the hall. Anna reclined, inhaling freely after days of constriction. The snare had clamped, liberating her. Yet Ethan's gaze, piercing from behind his hands, foretold the toughest clash, their private reckoning, sans familial scapegoats. The subsequent days dissolved into a haze of police interrogations, affidavits, and station hours. Anna faced detectives, reciting timelines until numbness set in. Officer Price affirmed the case's solidity, forged signatures via digital tracing software, intercepted transfers linked to known money launderers, the flash drive harboring incriminating drafts laced with metadata pointing to Trent's IP. Trent resisted fiercest, ranting about legitimate ventures and familial bonds, but evidence trumped rhetoric. His debts traced to a notorious syndicate, enforcers who'd escalated from threats to actions, like the accidental vandalism at Linda's home, a warning shot. Linda wept copiously, voice fracturing, I just wanted to shield my boys, from the violence, the ruin. The refrain pierced Anna, my boys, excluding her, the outsider. Linda's deeper motive emerged, her own secret stake in Trent's gambles, small bets that ballooned, binding her to the scheme. Ethan approached post-questioning, posture defeated, eyes cavernous. I never intended escalation, he whispered. I envisioned insulating you, resolving it solo, restoring our normalcy, weekend brunches, spontaneous trips. Normalcy? Anna's laugh rang hollow. You counterfeited my existence covertly. Permitted your kin to commodify me. No reversion possible. He sought her hand, she withdrew. For once, she stood unshakable. His affection proved conditional, shackled to concealments. Hers needn't mirror that. As charges mounted, fraud, forgery, attempted theft, Anna contacted Daniel. I'll file my petition, she declared. After brief pause, on your terms now. Thus, on their erstwhile anniversary, she revisited his office. Papers arrayed, pen ready. The date Ethan aimed to expunge her, she authored her liberation. Her assets, identity, reclaimed, disentangled from shadows. Signing, irony struck, these documents empowered, not ambushed. Not Ethan's dictate, but her volition. Exiting, buoyancy returned. The city hummed unchanged, but her world hushed, serene. That evening, she uncorked the anniversary champagne. No toast to romance or grief. To herself, for amplifying the voice Ethan's ploys sought to mute. And in that solitary clink, she glimpsed a horizon unbound, rich with untapped potential, perhaps new adventures, rekindled passions like the painting classes she'd shelved for marriage, or travels to distant shores where no secrets lurked. The story didn't end in ashes, it ignited anew, with her as the unyielding protagonist.